What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Speaking Sessions podcast. I'm here with Kaitlyn Young. Kaitlyn is the founder and CEO of Social Media Doctor. In addition, she is a proud member of the leadership team at Iconic Alliance and two-time best-selling author. She has been in the business world since the time she was 18, and through her combined years of experience, extensive mentorship, and impactful business relationships, she has been able to grow SMD while helping numerous businesses flourish. Kaitlyn has been married to her husband since 2017 and currently lives in their home in Grand Rapids with their adorable cats and dogs. But without further ado, Kaitlyn, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm really excited to be on here and chopping it up with you.
Yeah, same here. And today we're going to be talking about marketing, but with a different spin. And that's what I really like about you and admire what you're doing is, while yes, you do focus on marketing, a lot of people want to focus on ads and ad spend and SEO and all these things. And you really want to take it organic and help people be a person on social media and not just a business or somebody who likes to talk about a particular subject. So I'm going to be listening in today as I ask questions. But for those of you that are listening, pay attention because this is the first step you should be doing in marketing before you start trying to throw ad dollars or anything like that at social media in order to grow your audience. And so, Kaitlyn, I would like to really just start with what made you decide to even start this business in the first place? Because there's so many people doing marketing and you put a different spin on it. So I'd love to hear like why the birth of Social Media Doctor.
Yeah, I was not looking for like this to be a gig or anything. I was searching for a purpose, but I didn't know it was going to be this. I was attending entrepreneur events. I was going out there, putting myself out there, but I really didn't have like a business or anything in the background. I was just so enthralled with the communities, the different things they were talking about, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want that. And it was at Stacey Rasky's event, Influential, that I kind of had a moment of, oh my gosh, this is my purpose when we were doing some deep breathing exercises. And it just kind of hit me like a ton of bricks that I was put on this earth to help others unmask their truth selves and display themselves online as authentically as possible while also helping them grow because I believe they're directly connected, that when you are your most authentic self, you attract the people that are meant to work with you. So that kind of was like my, oh my gosh, this is my purpose. And I, from there was just trying to figure out, okay, how does this work? And I started being asked by a lot of people, hey, your social media presence is so awesome. Like, have you ever considered offering that as a service, right? And so I decided to jump into that pool and start this business, Social Media Doctor, to help people step into themselves authentically. About 6 months down the road, I realized there was a lot more to it than that and had to get really clear on what that mission looked like. Like, okay, putting the heart back in social media is what we're here to do. Not just, okay, we're helping people, be authentic, but also making it a bigger mission of making social media an authentic place that people can connect, putting the actual human element back in. So that was kind of my journey, as you call it, to starting Social Media Doctor.
Yeah, I like that. And like you, events have really changed my life. And one I can think of in particular is GrowthCon 3, actually. And it wasn't actually the event itself, but it was somebody that I met at the event that introduced me to a group called Arate Syndicate, which Andy Frizzell and Milet run. It's a mastermind that they run and everything. And because of that, I was able to get around people that are in these groups that are thinking higher level, that want to pursue the best versions of themselves and everything. And of course, not through Arte, but another group we were a part of at one point is how we end up connecting. And so these events like this are amazing. The mastermind groups are amazing as well. And it's all because it's people really being themselves and being like minded. And just like you were talking about it, that is why what you're doing and how you're helping your clients is so impactful. And why people end up following others is because of the relatability. And for those of you that have kids like me right now, Bluey is the hottest thing right now. And even parents love it because all the situations in there are so relatable to real life. And
Yeah.
so to me, if that's I think that's a great example right there, is why being yourself on social media is what you should do, is to be relatable. And so I would love for you to open that up for us. Like, how can we be more relatable? Because a lot of times I would think that, and I've had this go on in my head that, that's stupid. That's something that nobody would care about. Yet what's funny is that seems to be something that I found from my own experience that connects people the most. So could you help unpack that? Maybe there's some psychology behind that and all that good stuff. But could you unpack that for us?
Yeah, yeah. So for me, like the relatability piece, like you hit, is super essential. But it all started for me when I got clear on my core values and mission. Like that is where everything kind of fit together because it helped me guide what I was okay with posting. It kept me on brand. I kind of use it as a compass. Going to the North Star. So, going to hitting my business goals, my life goals, my compass keeps me forward. And so my core values do the same thing. And that helps me stay relatable. It helps me stay authentic because if I'm posting something that I would never do, right? Like my core values, if I put every post against those, it's going to immediately ding like, okay, is this in integrity with me? Because that's my first core value. Is this post I'm about to post going to show my integrity or is it going to show like something that I have no interest in? Second piece, is this a showboat post where it's showing everything amazing going on, highlight reel, or am I being real? Because my second core values always get back up. So that means being willing to be vulnerable, being willing to say, hey, yeah, this is a situation that went wrong, but this is how we made it right. Or, hey, this is how this went down. This is what I learned from it, right? Uh, my third core value, that is respect the individual. Is this post respectful of myself and the audience that I am engaging with? And then lastly, everyone wins. Is this a post that is only centered on me selling things and not actually focused on getting the person that's reading it results, getting them something actionable in real time that they don't need to buy something necessarily from me, that they're going to still take something away. Because when we are a go giver, that's usually when people trickle in because we've already given them value. We've already proven that we are who we say we are. But going back to your question about how do we, implement that? How do we stay authentic to ourselves? When we have those core values guiding us, and then we have real conversations with ourselves, getting really raw about who we are, and that's like some hard conversations too, because like it is so easy to put on a mask. It is so easy to get in a group, get hyped, and do exactly what that group does, and follow suit because it's the cool thing to do. But when you're able to take the mask off, get really real with yourself, place those posts against your core values, you usually find that the people engaging with those are a lot better suited for your business, for your friendships, relationships, and you end up creating warriors that are like excited to back you because they know exactly who you are. And when you meet them in person, then too, the other bees is there's no like they are totally different than they were online kind of thing because that's awkward when you meet someone and their profile picture isn't that like and you're like okay so you've gained like 100 pounds since you last were here okay I did not recognize you or hey you've lost 100 pounds still didn't recognize you being able to exactly be who you are online and offline just creates so much more trust, which leads to more likability and more sales.
Yeah, I agree, and that's the funny thing with a lot of people I've met in the groups, and I'm sure you've done the same thing where you get to know them, and then you finally get to see them in person, meet them in person. You're like, wow, you're literally the same person. And of course, if it was the opposite way where they were completely different, what in the world? Like, you were totally different online. So if you're a super confident person online, but you're not in person, that's going to be off-putting. Like, what in the world? Well, maybe you're still a great person. It's just it's not authentic because it's like, wow, you were this one way. I didn't expect that this other way. And that's the same thing when we go in online or in person, wherever, and we're trying to act a certain way, but it's not really us. People can see that and they're not going to like that. So just be yourself, like Kaitlyn's saying here, be yourself, and you're gonna have warriors that are gonna like you. They're gonna support you for that. And of course, you're gonna have people on the other side that are gonna not like you. They're gonna hate you or not want anything to do with you because of that. But that's fine, which actually leads to a point that I know you talk about all the time. So I'd love for you to really expand upon it. But we see like these follow trains, like for like, going and adding friends because they added friends, or doing that new viral video or the audio and creating your own video from that audio just to get more likes, subscriptions, all of that good stuff. And you always say, don't do that trend. And that seems
Yeah.
bizarre when you think about marketing. Most marketing people would say, yeah, do anything to get the likes, the comments, the follows, all that good stuff. So why do you say not to do those viral things? And that might not be 100% there, but why do you say for the most part don't do the
Yeah.
viral thing?
So I am not like 100% against them, but I want to lay the groundwork here. So I do not go after a viral trend. I don't go on there looking for viral. I go on there looking for sounds that are authentic to my brand. And sometimes those end up being viral sounds, right? But I'm not searching for those viral sounds. The reason that I say don't is because it goes back to a formula that I kind of created, which is trust, reliability, intimacy over self orientation equals trust. And if you are being reliable, showing up as yourself, right? Not chasing every trend. You're not chasing the next shiny object because, all these trends are crazy. Like they're so different dynamic. Like there are some that are simple that yes are going to work for you, or maybe you are crazy and you like some of that, but not every viral trend is going to be within your bandwidth, right? So if you're chasing those, it's going to be very obvious that you're uncomfortable doing something, or very obvious like how you react, or like I really hate this, right? Or you're just like pretending to be something. The other piece is credibility, right? Like if you are always chasing the next trend, the next thing, people don't have the credibility to see the consistency in your
Mm,
message. And consistency is what builds trust. So that's getting on podcasts, talking about the same thing over and over again, getting on stages like you help people do, right? Getting on talk shows on the media and getting yourself published. Those create credibility, consistency, right? That reliability. And then the intimacy piece is the willing to be vulnerable, like we were talking about a little bit earlier. So not having the picture perfect high rate light reel kind of, the Lamborghinis. There's nothing wrong with those things if that is what you're going after. But in reality, most people have like things that come up, or maybe your microwave blew up or something that's authentic to you that people aren't showing, right? For example, like 2 months ago I missed the boat on a new Instagram update. And I publicly went live on my page and basically apologized, but then I taught like how to correct that thing. And most people are like, "Oh my gosh, why would you do that?" Well, because it's authentic, right? It's that I learned this. I want to make sure other people learn this as well. It's helping them learn, and it helps create trust because people see you're human. You're not showboating. You're not going, "Look at me." And I'm all about talking about wins. Like winning and winning as a group is so essential. But being able to be yourself, and then the self orientation goes back to how you're showing up. We call it commission breath, right? If you're showing up on a video, if you're showing up in a post and you are literally trying to sell because you're at like scarcity mindset kind of thing, it shows. Like people can tell you are pitching from a place of scarcity. They can tell if you're like sitting kind of weird on video, or like uptight, right? Like you're just trying to make it through the pitch or whatever. So on your social media, if you're more authentic, guess what? You're going to be more relaxed. Your presence is going to be more chill. People are going to tell you're there to teach or there to give content because you're excited to. You're excited to impart this information, you know. And you're right when you said a lot of people are like, oh, no one wants to hear about this. No one wants to hear about that. Wrong. Like so many people do. It is the most simple stuff that goes viral, the most simple stuff that gets the most views, the most likes, because people overlook those things. People, especially in a competitive industry with social media and stuff, it's those simple things people gloss over or forget to say that clicks, and then they're able to dive more into those deeper conversations.
Yeah, it's something I actually just thought about, and this is kind of silly, way off in right field, left field, whatever field. But I can't help but think it was what was that? Almost like 4 years ago when that Bernie Sanders meme was going around where he's sitting back and he's got like these huge mittens, like wool mittens on his hands, and everybody just like made all sorts of memes on that. And I mean, it was so viral. Yet it was like just this old man sitting back, like arms crossed in a chair, and he's got wool mittens on or whatever mittens on, but yet somehow that became a viral meme, super funny. Everybody thought it was hilarious. And then like just memes in general are gifts. Like those little things, they make people laugh. It brings some, really authentic conversations, but it makes people laugh without you having to write out a whole novel or do a whole video. And it's just simple things like that. And so, what are some things that we can do? I know you mentioned core values, but I'm sure there's people, and I'm looking to learn for myself on this. What could we do, like take things out of our lives? Because obviously we have our business side and we're on social media because if we're posting and we have a business, we're wanting to get business. We're wanting to make sales, but we understand we can't have the commission breath. We understand we can't just sell every single post. So, what are some things we can do to maybe take notes on our life, perhaps, or whatever, to be able to start posting to get people into our ecosystem? So, when we do mention about our product or our service, that they'll more likely be willing to buy from us without us being like, hey, look, I've got this product. You need to buy from me now.
Yeah, so that's a great question. A lot of times that it's the simple content. So it's if you're like, I'm not comfortable yet to get in front of camera, I'm not comfortable yet because you're at different stages. There's different stages of getting comfortable on camera. You'll get there, especially if you talk to Philip here. But the thing is the simple quote, black background, one like just username, like, and a simple like how it can help people kind of post to amazing. The other side is think going and doing research on your 5 top clients. What are they looking at? What are they sharing? That's the biggest thing, because if you get someone to share your content for you, you just put yourself in front of a whole other audience. So I like to do a deep dive, and I don't call it stalking, I call it research of your 5 favorite clients. And you go into their profile and you see what kind of content they're sharing and look at what they're liking, what they're commenting on, what questions they're asking, right? And it may not necessarily pertain directly to your business, but you're going to get ideas that are in line with your brand, in line with your core values, that you can post that they will share those as well. A great example of this is I saw a hilarious social media quote the other day about Uber drivers. It was something about that there's Uber walking available now, right? And I thought that was hilarious. And it's like completely off topic. Like you would be like, okay, this has nothing to do with social media. But that puppy went on to get 5,000 views, like 12 shares. And the funny part is that I literally just put what the banana sticks at the top, nothing to do with what I do, but it made people laugh, right? And I got 5 followers from that. And then the next post, was a quote and then people were interested in that. And so you just mix it up. It's kind of, you stay authentic to your brand, something that you like that may not necessarily be on topic. And it doesn't have to be every time. I'm not saying make a meme for every single post. Like, you want to have it mixed up. The post about your dog, the funny Uber post, having a post about something you learned in your industry or something that you have found helpful for others in your industry. It doesn't always have to be a sales post.
Yeah, so some entertainment, education, things of that nature. Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you're always doing sales posts, then for sure it's not going to help. Yeah, trying to entertain, trying to just engage your audience in one way, shape, or form. And like you said, if you're already building up your audience to be a lot like you, you're targeting certain people, then most likely that's going to be something they find funny as well. If you decide to post something funny like the Uber walks, which I think that could really cover a lot of people that have dealt with Uber in any sense of the form, even if they're not the same they don't like the same humor as you. But yeah, maybe you find something that's really just funny for you. I think like dad jokes. Not everybody's gonna like a dad joke, but if I was to tell a dad joke, I would get the attention of other dads and maybe some moms that are some maybe some women that had a dad that told a dad joke that they maybe they miss their dad telling those corny dad jokes all the time, stuff like that. But you're able to capture an audience because of that. And I've had some people, and I'm one of those. I mean, I love dad jokes, and there's other people I've talked to like they love dad jokes too. So that's something that I try and do here and there as well. But I like that. So memes, videos, quote posts, going in and educating on, hey, this is what I just learned, even. And I think that's something that, especially in the coaching space or even in the, if you have a product in your space, a lot of times we're afraid to say, hey, I just learned this. Like that's a bad thing. Like you're supposed to be, and yes, you should know more than other people on the thing that you are supposed to be an expert in, but it doesn't mean you know every single thing. And so I think that's an important thing that you mentioned there, that, hey, I just learned this. Let me teach you about it. And you're not
Yeah.
saying, oh, I'm 100% expert on this. Like you mentioned about the Instagram update too. Oh yeah, I didn't know about this. Sorry, I didn't know about that. But here's what this Instagram update is and what you need to know about it. You're not the newest Instagram update expert. It just came out, but you're still taking the time to educate people, and you took the time to figure out what was in that. It's kind of like the terms of service. Most people aren't
Mhm.
reading that. So if you did read it and you let people know what's in it, then they're like, "Oh my gosh, thank you, Caitlin." I didn't want to read
Exactly.
that.
And you build that trust because it's like, it's that very common theme going around where it's like, oh, I'm the expert, I know everything. Like, people pretend to know stuff that they don't know. And so there's a turnoff that I've seen of people like scared to hire a coach, scared to hire people because they've been burned by those people that do know it all. So
Mm.
being able to have that, hey, I'm a real person moment, especially and with all the bots and stuff on social media, is huge. It basically creates a bridge, and you're like, hey, come over the bridge.
Yeah. And so I kind of think about this as well. Like, I agree with you. We need to build that trust. We need to show, like, hey, I don't know everything. But then I can't help but think about some people that almost play the victim card all
Mhm.
the time. And they want to be so vulnerable and so open that it becomes almost like, oh my gosh, like, stop.
Turn it off.
It's just
Yep.
too much. So, how do we create that balance between being confident and showing that we are the expert when we know what we're doing, and also showing the side of vulnerability, showing that, maybe we don't quite know everything, but we're willing to figure it out and go along to really help build that trust, but also not do too much vulnerable or maybe too much confidence that now I'm way above you because I have all this confidence, or I've been so vulnerable saying I don't know this, I don't know that, that now, like, am I really even further along than you in this thing? So how do we create that balance?
Yeah, so that goes back to the credibility piece, right? Like, you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot by being like, "Yeah, I suck at everything, guys." But no, you, because again, it's that it really does, and this is going to sound like, okay, you're a social media expert. What, this has nothing to do with it. But it goes back to mindset work. Like, gain in a mindset of being like really working on getting out of the victim mentality, because I was stuck there for a while. Like after I'd gotten kicked out of an organization, like I literally thought I was the scum. And so my posts were all victim mentality. And guess what ended up happening? I repelled everyone that would have been a good partner in business because, like you said, it was like too much. And there's a difference between blaming the world, blaming others, and taking ownership. That is the biggest thing. Is there's a difference between me saying, "Hey, I messed up here and I'm going to make this right," right?
Mhm.
And then, "Hey, you know what? This sucks that Instagram did this. It sucks that I didn't know this. It's blah 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 about this," right? That's more gossip victim mode. We want to stay in a mode of, "Hey, I am on a journey and I am an expert in this," but even experts are consistently learning. So hold yourself as the expert you are. Like show up and literally be like, "Yeah, I am an expert," but don't be so ego filled that you are not willing to hear what others say, not willing to look at how you can improve. If you approach life with an improvement mentality, not a victim mentality, that's going to fix itself and it's going to create that balance. You're going to naturally know after a while of really working on that of, okay, is this serving my mission? Going back to the core values, is this an integrity for me to post this, or is this me saying woe is me, right? Is this showing me getting back up, or is this a pity post to get more likes? That's again going back to those core values. I know I say core values like 5,000 times, but they really are a pillar to be able to create that thought process, and along with mindset work on yourself, those create the successful social media presence and that balance that you're talking about.
I like that. Yeah, and definitely trying to play, maybe not play both sides, but do a little bit of both for sure. Like, and like you said, having the ownership behind it, not being a victim, showing that, hey, I didn't know this, but this is what it is, and actually educating on that. Or I had to go through the bad time because, or let's say like, oh, I failed at this thing. Like I was going to run a 100-mile race and I failed because I didn't do XYZ. So now you're educating based on the failures that you had or the assumption, because obviously you hadn't finished one unless you went the next time you did those three things and now you finished 100. And so then you can for sure say, oh, I finished 100 miles because I did take care of these three things. But you still showed that you had failed and the things that you needed to do to actually not fail the next time. I think that's a great way. So taking ownership on that for sure. But then the other side, of course, being confident in your services. And so I want to go to the next question I really have for you, really pulling this out even more. I'm curious because we've got a mutual friend, Luan. So he's obviously got a thick accent and everything, and he was not really on social media. And I've seen the way that his social media has changed around, and I know he's a client of yours, or at least was. I'm guessing still is at
Yes.
this point. Okay, good. So he still is a client of yours. So what did you do? Because I want you to explain this so that people can kind of really understand the concept, and then if they want to work, if you want to work with Kaitlyn, I highly suggest that. If you want to just take this and run with it, I'm sure she wouldn't mind that at all. She wants to see
Yeah.
people win. It's not about just getting more clients. But what did you do to take Luan, who had very little social media presence, probably very little personality in his social media? And I say the accent just to give the emphasis there that like he probably wasn't comfortable on camera, probably wasn't comfortable speaking because of his accent, yet he still overcame all of that to create the social media presence he has today, which is awesome. So how did you help turn that around for him? What was the kind of the game plan and everything?
So I will be real on here. He did a lot of it himself as far as like the turning that. Luan is an amazing brand expert. He
Mm,
built Deck Bros brand. It was more the tweaking on the personal that I came into. Yes, we do Deck Bros social media, but like the groundwork was already there. He had already gotten past the being uncomfortable on camera, but he didn't know the power of brand, like doing that so much on the personal brand side, till he started his podcast. And when he started his podcast, I kind of approached him like, hey, if you're going to do this, let's do this on socials. Let's bring this into there. And so what ended up happening is he would drop stuff in there, and we did deep research. So like anything, I Facebook stalk research, 2-3 years back, and I got to know his voice, and it was different because, like you said, he has an accent, he has different speech things, and we extracted what he was trying to say in those messages. He's really good at articulating and analytics. Like the dude's a smart dude. He's
Yeah.
amazing. He's one of my favorite clients. But we basically went in there and we looked at what he was conveying and cleaned it up a little bit. And then we used his Deck Bros brand because he literally embodied it. And we created the Don brand based off of what Brian Diamond called him.
Right.
And from there, he him and I communicate all the time through DMs, like about different things. And so I get to know him even more, right? And so my job is to be a brand extractor. It's to extract his vision he already has. That's the thing people don't get is if you don't have the vision when you hire a social media manager, you cannot get mad at them if they are not able to articulate it. Because at the end of the day, this is your business, your brand, especially when it's personal brand. This again, and I'm going to sound like a broken record, but this goes back to knowing your mission, your core values. You get clear on those set up the brand. And so we were able to take his core values and mission, take what he was doing with Contractor Life Academy, because he's a coach there, and take what he wanted to do, this mission of helping contractors. And we went into deep research mode. We researched, okay, what are contractors struggling with? What are coaches that are, been contractors saying? So I started friending like all these contractor coaches and really started learning about what exactly is the need in the space. Okay, what kind of quotes and things really resonate with them? What are some things Luan has said that would help them grow in the past? So we take quotes from different things that he may not have realized were impactful at some point, and we basically bring them up from 3-4 years ago, reword them a little bit, and put them back out there. But the fun part of it is still is all him. It is all his voice. It is all his thoughts. We're just taking it, we're rewording it a little bit, and putting a little bit more graphic and spice to it, right? The editing. But at the end of the day, it's still his mission and vision.
I like that, and that's a really good point. I never thought about that necessarily, but it makes a lot of sense. If you don't have the vision, how can you have somebody come in to then market that vision, especially, or sell the vision, or do anything if you have no vision? If you just say, "Hey, I want to do this," well, that's great. And that vision is what really separates you from another person who's doing the same thing in your industry, selling the same product, selling the same service. It's all about that vision. What are you trying to do with that? And that's really, it seems cheesy. And I know we've talked about core values, we talked about vision. We hadn't mentioned vision, but that, or sorry, not vision, mission. But mission goes along with vision, core values, and all of these things kind of under a very similar or the same umbrella. And if people can't get bought into that, then they want to buy into that. And so that's why people come to you. And that's what really differentiates you. And I see you shaking your head here. So I'm seeing you're agreeing there. And so I would love, I'm going to get you to pick on me, and hopefully I'll learn from this. So I'm seated. I'm seated already. I'm going to be holding on to the chairs or the arms of my chair and everything. But I would love to know your professional thoughts, because I know you've seen some of my social media. Maybe like one or two things that I could do to improve mine to be a little bit more personable on my social media, because right now I have not been as personable as I should be. So,
Yeah.
what
Oh
you
my
got?
gosh.
I'm bracing
The
for this.
hot seat. Hot seat with Philip. So yeah, first of all, you do a really good job of like the putting your podcast stuff out there, talking about speaking stuff. Like amazing job there. So, like you said, lately the personal has backed off a little bit. I've noticed because I live online. It's just what I do, guys. Like, I was looking at my screen time yesterday. I averaged 16 hours a day.
Woo.
So,
Man.
I was like, oh, I should probably do something about that. But yeah, so the personal piece, and then, little tidbits. So, like, literally just a one liner from something on your podcast, just with like a simple background and you explaining why that little tidbit is so like impactful. Like, it doesn't need to be a like long thing, but just that simple, right? Because if you have everything branded, like super amazing, because you have an amazing brand and you do a really good job of putting it out there, and that is awesome. But having those simple, not so branded, but shareable content pieces, I think would definitely help as well, but definitely more personal.
Awesome, awesome. So I'll definitely share more baby photos. That's the thing right now. So and
Yes.
that's what's been funny. I don't know why, but what the first baby I was, I guess, maybe more excited because first time dad, girl dad, all this stuff, and now I have the second daughter. And not that I don't love her as much, but for some reason, and this is probably a post I should make, I just haven't really been as desired to post about her or the family as much here lately. And I can't quite put my finger on what it is exactly, but I just hadn't really wanted to share as much about my family for some reason on social media. And that's probably went into other parts of the personal stuff. So I'm going to challenge myself to do that. So by the time this comes out, I'll probably have already posted that. But
There you
still,
go.
but and those for those listening to the audience, I will start to be more personable and share some of those tidbits because you're right. We need to have bite-sized pieces of information, and it helps us be able to take that in a lot better. But Kaitlyn, before we get to our last question, where can people follow you? Because I mean, you've given so much value. Obviously, you've got a great personal brand as well. You give out so much great value and information. So where can people follow you?
Yeah, I'm on any platform as Kaitlyn Young Official or Social Media Doctor Official. If you want to follow the business or me, you can do that. But that would be where I am, any place.
Awesome, and you're on there at least 16 hours a day, so you'll probably catch her. Well, this has been great. But Kaitlyn, the last question I have for you is if you could only share one message for the rest of your life, what would that message be?
It would be to definitely, going back to my mission of helping people step into their authentic selves, it would be, that you don't have to pretend to be something you're not to be successful. That's the biggest thing is that you don't have to, buy the fancy cars. I mean, if that's authentic to you, go for it, but be true to you first and the success will follow.
I like that. And that's something that I think we, especially as we're living on social media more and more, need to hear that because we see too much those highlight reels like you were talking about. But that is unrelatable. So go back and listen to this episode, figure out what is relatable, think for yourself about what it is that you enjoy, and just start talking about that. Share some personal stuff about you, share tidbits of information about your business, your product, your service that will help your clients out, building up that trust. Because at the end of the day, as Kaitlyn has said, it is all about trust and core values. I'll say it one time for you. but but Kaitlyn, thank you so much for coming on this podcast and sharing all this great value. I've enjoyed the conversation and learning even more from you than I've already learned from all your social media.
I appreciate it so much. Thank you for having me on.